Hello, this is Jeff from Manual Orchards, and today we're going to be pruning some hazelnut trees. This happens to be a Jefferson field which is in its 6th leaf, and these trees have not been pruned heavily before. If you look at the OSU recommendations, they recommend pruning a tree about every 5 years, and so these are a little bit overdue, but we're going to show you some of the methods and what we're trying to do and how to prune the tree. Just in general, when we're pruning, we're trying to get all the lower branches that the sweeper would hit. We're trying to get those out of the way. So a good rule of thumb is if you hold your hand down to the side of your pant leg, anything that's below your fingertips would all get pruned off, or any branches that are hanging down. The second thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to prune it back to 3 to 5 main branches, scaffolding branches. So we'll select 3 to 5 main scaffolding branches. And then if we get branches that are crossing over or shading other branches, we've got to cut those out too, because you can't have branches that are going to rub each other as they get older. And then the last thing we do is we try to open up the center of the tree a little bit. So sometimes we'll take a couple of branches in the center and prune those out so that we open up the center of the tree. So let's talk about the equipment first of all that we're going to be using. I've got a couple different pruning shears here. When we prune with a crew, I give them a set of the small pruning shears. I like to buy the pruning shears where you can replace the blades, so you can easily replace separate components. And I think it's a good idea to sharpen them. I like to sharpen them once in the morning and once right after lunch. That way you're using nice sharp equipment. It makes it easier on the guys and their hands so that they're not wearing out their wrists. And the other piece of equipment I like to use is the larger loppers. These as well, I will sharpen them every morning, and then I'll typically lubricate and tighten to make sure there's no looseness in the blades. What I found on both of these is it's a good idea to go ahead and to tighten the blades each morning before you use them. That way they're not loose and you don't get bad cuts when you're pruning the trees. If they're sharp, you'll get nice clean cuts and it'll be better for the trees. So now we're going to actually talk about cutting and how we prune the tree. You want to look at it, each of your branches there is a collar around the base of the branch. When you're cutting the branches, you want to make sure you're cutting off close to the main branch, but you don't want to destroy that collar, because that collar is what's going to actually grow back over and heal that cut. So like say if you're going to take this branch, you want to cut close to the tree, but you want to leave that little collar so that way it heals back properly. So I'm just going to start cutting on this tree and showing you some of the cuts that I would make. So all these lower branches, like I said, anything below your fingertips, if you're standing upright, all these lower branches would come off. And what we're going to do is, by pruning these, we're going to promote growth higher in the tree. So you can see on this cut, I got maybe a little too close to the collar. I started cutting into that collar, so you want to make sure you're not cutting that collar out. And then you can see these two branches here, you've got two that are overlapping each other. So because they're going to cross or overlap, I'm going to go ahead and take that main branch out. Just going to move around the tree, cut off some of these lower limbs, things on the inside. Now I want 3 to 5 main scaffolding branches, like I said. So I'm going to take this big branch out. I'm going to open up the center of the tree by cutting off some of these that are aiming towards the center. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be my 5th main scaffolding branch. You can see that sort of opens up the tree, opens up the center. If you hold your hand down, we've got nothing below the fingertips. All that's cut. All of our branches are aiming up, which is going to make it nice for when you go to sweep. You don't have any issues. I like to stand and check, look at this direction if I'm sweeping. Do I got anything in the way? Look at this direction if I'm sweeping or dragging. Do I have anything in the way? Everything looks good, it's all upright. And we're down to 5 main scaffolding branches. So that's just in general how you would prune a tree. So this is the last tree I'll talk about in pruning. On this one, you can see I've got some branches that they're still above my fingertips, so they're not too low. But when they come out, they dip down and then up. So if you've got a branch that is coming down and then up, this can't be a main scaffolding branch because it won't be able to support the weight once that branch grows large. So I would cut any of these branches that dip down and then back up, and I would just make these main 4 branches my main scaffolding going up. And one good thing to note is after you get done with your pruning, you're going to have a lot of open cuts here. And so for Jefferson trees, especially with bacterial blight, I would suggest putting on a copper spray in the fall to protect yourself against bacterial blight. So anyway, this has been a video to help hopefully show how to do some pruning on Jefferson hazelnut trees. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call.